Yes, people, it's LokiMan07, and this video is something different. But before I get into it, you know the rules: like and subscribe. Don't like, and don't subscribe. But anyway, this video is definitely something very different from my channel, but it's something in gaming that has my interest. Firstly, I'd like to say that Final Fantasy VII Remake is my most anticipated game right now. Um, and it's been like I haven't been excited for a game, well, anticipate a game like this since like Final Fantasy 13, which probably means nothing to you guys, as it shouldn't. But in this works, you should discover why it's important, why it looms over my anticipation for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Okay, so what inspired me to make this video essay? Well, firstly, there was once a time when if you asked me what is the best video game franchise in existence, I'd say Final Fantasy. I would not stutter, and I would be prepared for the debate. The game series is important to my personal video game history. Second, the Final Fantasy VII Remake official theme song trailer from a couple of weeks ago. That trailer was hype as anything, and it was the trailer that tickled my nostalgia spot. Third, the third reason is YouTubers that I generally follow and the general fandom of the series in current times, right? So, without further ado, let's go over these topics and try and prophesize the looming question: will Final Fantasy VII Remake be the amazing game we deserve at this point? Yes, I said deserve. Let's get it in. In the summer of 1998, I borrowed a game off my friend down the street from me. It was the original Final Fantasy VII, and my journey began there. I loved it. I wanted to see it through to the end. I was a book reading kid, and this was something I'd never experienced. An interactive novel like no other. My only experience with anything close was the Legend of Zelda series, and that was like child's play now. This was big boy stuff. The characters were layered, the story was buffed, everything was fleshed out. I fell in love with the entire genre. I started seeking out similar gaming experiences, everything from the previous Final Fantasy games to Sega's Shining Force series, Suikoden, Final Fantasy Tactics, Breath of Fire, Panzer Dragoon Saga, Grandia, the Tales series. The list goes on and on. I was on it, but nothing could touch Final Fantasy. It was always the best presented. The art, the imagination, the mythological references, the graphics, everything. I played as many Final Fantasy games I could get my hands on. But what happened? What happened? In modern times, to me personally, the Final Fantasy series is now the Sonic the Hedgehog of the JRPG world. They both have a generational split in the fan base. The newer games in both series suffer from cheesy voice work, and they both have story application issues. The cheesy, bad voice acting doesn't help. The HD era for Final Fantasy was like the 3D era for Sonic. To me, since the HD era of gaming, Square Enix has not brought out a single Final Fantasy game that can compete with standard Western RPGs, let alone lesser known JRPGs. It definitely cannot compete with its own legacy. They have amazingly bad execution. Stories have absolutely terrible pacing, and the battle systems always feel like something tested instead of something mastered. It's like the developers themselves aren't sure how to execute the ideas, and everything becomes a patchwork quilt of what ideas the developers have and what Final Fantasy is supposed to be, and it doesn't mix well. It just doesn't work. So alas, we have a new generation of Final Fantasy fans, and they enjoy the new games, of course. And so, to some degree, I respect that. I just see it as the new games aren't for me. I've moved on. But what the newer fans don't get is that this series deserves more. It's not about liking something you personally invested money in and time in. Of course you're going to see favor in your own personal investments. It's basic human psychology 101. It's why fans and fanboys exist. It's why critics and haters exist as a paradigm. And that principle ain't going anywhere, and it's okay. But Final Fantasy is supposed to be in the best RPG conversational space. I have lived through that. It's supposed to turn the heads of the gaming world. It's Final Fantasy. Yeah? It's legendary. See the game I'm playing in the background right there? Final Fantasy should be in the same conversational realm as The Witcher 3 easily, but Square Enix is too busy animating realistic campfire bro animations than actually animating and voicing scenes that actually give the story meaning. That bring characters to life. I cared more about the story of the Bloody Baron in The Witcher 3 than Noctis' plight through the whole Final Fantasy 15 game. Yeah, check that out. Okay. How is a side character in a Western RPG more fleshed out than a full Final Fantasy main character? This is where we are with things. And so I say all that to say this to the Final Fantasy YouTube community: stop acting shocked that people aren't positive about Final Fantasy VII all the time when the publishers and developers aren't proven. They haven't been for over 10 years. The Witcher may seem like an unfair comparison, but I could choose any RPG, whether it's Persona, Ni no Kuni, XCOM, anything, right? Final Fantasy is the lesser of all HD RPGs, and we need a change. So let's hear an example of this mindset from a YouTuber I follow. He does amazing work, and I have been following him for a while, and he has been following the development of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Mr. Soldier First Class, let's go.
Fear of disappointment can be a powerful thing, but with these guys on the remake team, my worries are all gone. I also want to talk about how we act towards this game and how it impacts the view people have of the Final Fantasy community. When we get on internet forums and act like entitled brats, our community doesn't look so great to the outside world. That potentially turns new fans off of the franchise and makes us all look bad. The vocal minority usually has the biggest voice, and that's what a lot of public opinion and stereotypes are based off of. If we maintain that positive attitude and treat this game as an old yet still new experience, it creates a welcoming atmosphere that brings the next generation of fans into the franchise. If that doesn't happen, then the franchise we know and love dies with us. One of the things I hate the absolute most when it comes to the negativity about this game is that it's not what quote-unquote original fans wanted. According to these people, fans just wanted updated graphics, the same exact story, and battle systems. If that were the case, what would be the point of even remaking the game in the first place? I would also like to point out that I'm an original fan of the game from 1997, and I'm extremely happy and excited to get my hands on the remake. So no, not all original fans wanted a simple upgrade, and I think you'd find a vast majority of people that are excited for the remake and all of its changes.
Mr. First Class, I love your content and your channel. But as fans, it's not up to us to brainwash people into thinking everything is great so as to grow the fan base we love. That stuff is for people that benefit from those already developed works. It does not benefit actual gamers though. It's up to developers to create products that are so great, so undeniable, that it creates the fan bases, it creates and attracts the new players, and old ones like me too, like the old Final Fantasy games already did. After the major disappointment that was Final Fantasy 15, I decided I was never going to buy another Final Fantasy again. I was so disappointed and distraught by the finished product that was launched, but they announced the remake, a remake to my favourite game of all time. So my attention was caught, but I was very skeptical. I was obviously afraid of the abilities of the modern Square, and this explains a lot, because I'm not alone. There is a minority of gamers like me that don't do vids like this, and we are afraid of what Square does and has done to Final Fantasy. We don't think they make good action games because we know they never have, but we know they used to make the best turn-based RPGs of old. This is why the old guard want it to be an update of the original beat for beat, because they don't believe in the new stuff. They don't believe in the potential of a new battle system from Square. They don't believe in the ability to make new story elements because they've played the previous games. So in short, it's on Square Enix to change those minds. What I've seen of the game so far, it looks amazing. It's really changed my mind on what I expect. But does it play as good as it looks? Time will tell. I will be doing some kind of review or something when it comes out, but this will be make or break for me and the series that I loved so much. Anyway, with that said, I'm going to leave you with this clip from the main man Sui, since this is a fighting game channel and it's got nothing to do with Final Fantasy, but it has everything to do with what I'm trying to say on this subject right now. Take it away, the main man.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm very happy, and it didn't take them too long to remedy the problem when everyone in the community started whining. And this is why you shouldn't listen to people who say on Twitter, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed by the FGC community." Stop whining, everyone. Hit the lab. Get good. Adapt. Leroy's not broken. You just suck. Stop whining. Stop whining. You ever see those people? I see them a lot. This is why we whine. So that shit happens and things are fixed.